All right, we're gonna sneak attack Teresa here. We're gonna uncover, while she's cooking bacon, we're gonna uncover how she spots all these fish and catches them while we're fishing, because she does have a natural knack for it. I thought it was because she was part Indian, but we discovered through ancestry she's not part Native American. She's
it's
got
so
some
minuscule that you can't find it.
Okay,
so.
but anyway, she has a knack for finding fish. So what is it while you're cooking bacon?
Look for the bait. Look for where they would be. Think like the fish, become the fish.
Yeah, but I see bait a lot, and you're like...
Yeah, and you'll say, there's nothing over there, and I'll throw over there and catch a fish. So, to me, I can tell when bait's doing bait things, and bait's running from fish, or there's a fish moving through there. You know, a lot of times you're going to be, you say, oh, that's a horse mullet or something like that. And it's like, no, a mullet wouldn't do that to the other mullet in the gang. So
when you're standing on the bow of the boat, you first look for the bait moving. And
I look for bait, period. If we're not in it, remember when we're out there and I'll say, I don't see any bait over here, let's move. Because I like to visually see, I mean, sometimes there's fish there, but I like to visually see what's going on. And I can see with my polarized glasses and the sun hitting it, I can see them flash, and so a mullet will turn a certain way, but a redfish or a trout turns a certain way.
So you're looking for wakes around the bait, maybe a certain kind of a wake? Or are you
I'm
catching
looking for fish doing fish things and baits doing bait things.
Well, tell everybody what fish things look like.
It's hard to explain if you haven't been out there on the water for a long period of time.
So you'd say you would advise somebody to study the bait and what's going on around it?
Yeah, and if you think it's just bait, throw into it and then mark that in your brain. There was a fish there. What was that bait doing? Look down into the water, not across the water, because you can't see across the water. You can see down into the water. Use your polarized glasses, use a little height, and watch them. Learn what they're doing. Learn how fish feed. Learn how they smack stuff. Trout smacks first and
so
then
maybe
attacks.
A good idea is to study the mullet, because we'll see mullet moving marsh grass. We'll see mullet flashing silver. So once you get the mullet patterns down and how they act, it's easier to differentiate.
Yeah, because if a redfish
or a trout
hits that same grass, that grass is going to move.
But
if a mullet hits it, it's just going to tap. If a redfish hits it, it's getting smacked.
So even if you're in a kayak, you could paddle up to a school of bait and just kind of study them and watch the mullet, so you know when something's different other than the way they're acting.
Yeah, most of the time. But I'm throwing into bait no matter what, because sometimes there's fish underneath that bait just hanging there, waiting for the right opportunity to strike. So I'm throwing into bait no matter what.
So if you don't see tailing fish on slick, calm water, you're looking for bait.
Yes, because that's how I visually fish. It's not for everybody. Some people just like to fish bottom. Some people like to bump bottom. I don't like to bump bottom. I like to visually see what I'm doing.
But a lot of people that watch us throw lures and flies and stuff, because that's what we do, artificial, right? So if you're, what two lures what would be your favorite lure to throw at a school of bait?
An AM, purple haze. And I've learned to cut it down to the size of a shrimp by clipping the tail and clipping little jagged edges. So I love purple haze AM lures, number one. Number two, I'm throwing that Sexy Dog Chrome. If I'm not throwing the Sexy Dog Chrome, I'm throwing the AM. And those are my two go-to baits, period. I will go and buy a pack of white gulp shrimp too, though.
With all this, there's the bacon cheese working on. With all this shallow water all over the Gulf Coast, what's your favorite size jig head? I know she never uses a screw in. She never uses weedless.
Because I don't like...
She likes a regular jig head.
Listen, if you're confident using that, go for it. I'm confident using a jig head. It's usually an 1/8 or a 1/4 jig head.
Not a 1/4, an 1/8 or 16th, right?
Yeah. I don't know fractions. See, I just said I don't know
but I know.
numbers.
I watch you.
So you know what they are.
Yes, you usually use 1/8 or 1/8 or a 16th.
There you
16th
go.
is real light and 1/8 is a little bit heavier.
That's what I use. Okay, but I'm not confident with weedless. I don't like weedless hooks.
You do have a...
I like the bait to
keep the grass
sink.
off of it. Yeah.
No, and that's where we...
How do you keep the grass off of it? It's sinking though.
I don't care if it gets grass on it, because see, listen, some people will tell you, yeah, if it gets grass on it, it ain't gonna get a hookup. You know what? I've hooked up on a fish with grass on my hook, on my top water.
You let it settle into the grass?
Yeah. Sometimes
Or you
I
keep it
skim
above.
it above the grass, and sometimes I pull it out of the grass. Just if I want to
their
lay it
attention.
down and put it where they're grubbing,
Mhm.
then I'll let it go into the grass. And
So in summation, study the bait, learn the difference between the fish around the bait and the
Yeah.
bait itself.
yeah,
By studying the bait, you'll be able to tell the difference
yeah.
and get a top
Get
water
some
you're
good-
confident in it,
yeah.
and get a paddle tail that you're
Or
confident
just
in.
whatever your confident bait is. Get your polarized sunglasses, number one. If you can't see what's going on in the water,
You're in trouble.
you know, you might as well be using live bait or dead bait. You got to see what's going on in the water. Learn your area. Learn where fish hold in your area. Ours hold around oyster and structure and stuff like that in the water on the flat. They also the trout hold in the deeper sections. Learn that. Get your confident bait. If you're confident with a what do they use? Those jerk baits with a bass hook. If you're confident with that and you catch bass on it, bring it down here. Do the same thing on
Just
the
make
flat.
sure it runs shallow, whatever it is.
Right, yeah.
Because we're in 10 inches a lot of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do what makes you happy.
Wake baits, yeah, you're talking
Yeah,
about wake
wake
baits.
bait. Yeah. Whatever makes you feel confident that you can catch a fish.
So
But then learn.
it's mainly studying the bait and learning how they act, studying the fish and how they react around the bait, and then just having a lure that you're confident in to present to the fish that you're spotting around the bait.
Yeah, I mean, do your research. Do research and development, which is what some
R&D.
trips we do, or research.
Get out
and
there and
develop-
study the fish.
Yeah,
Study.
but also you can look things up and learn them online. You know, a few years ago, I wanted to know, maybe 5 years ago, I wanted to know what trout would hit during the winter time, and it turns out they feed like once or twice a day on a mullet that's like 7 or 8 inches. They'll feed on that.
So
So
you
then
throw
I
bigger
switched in the winter time to those 6 and 7 inch jerk shad, and was hooking up on the big trout.
Yeah.
Joe wants some.
Yeah.
Joe
forget
Joe
him.
wants some bacon, huh?
Oh, he ain't supposed to be in this house.
No, whatever. He loves the house.
Get out of here.
Anyway.
We felt sorry for him because it was cold. All right. Well, there you go. Teresa gave away some of her secret sauce
Eat
And-
meat
and what she does.
and
on the
eat
flats.
meat. There's your other tip.
Yeah. Well, if we catch fish, we'll have more meat to eat, right?
Right.
All right. We'll see y'all later. There you go. You got it from the lady.
Bye, guys.